So, topic of the week this week. Uh, so PlayStation is now in the TV series industry, and their first little project is a comic book spoof. Sadly, or comic book series. Sadly, not from the Marvel universe, as they took on a series called Powers. And Joe, do you know you're a comic book guy? Do you know anything about this comic book series?
Um, I've not read Powers, but I know it is a creator-owned series by Brian Michael Bendis, who's worked on many comic books for Marvel. From mostly the Avengers is what he's mostly known for. He's currently writing the X-Men stuff. He created the Ultimate Spider-Man thing, creating Miles Morales and pretty much everything that's happened. He's written every
Oh
single issue of
wow.
Ultimate Spider-Man since like 2001 or whatever year Ultimate Spider-Man started. He's been working on that pretty much the entire time. Um, and like it's drawn by I think Michael Olmig or something. I've never seen the comic to be honest. I'm not gonna pretend I'm an expert, but basically it's about uh, I guess superhero cops in LA who are tasked with bringing in powers as it were, kind of regulating I guess superhero or superpower abuse or whatever. I don't know. I've never really read it,
Yeah,
but
to put in perspective, imagine if Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. met CSI, or not CSI,
Law and Order.
Law and Order SVU. Yeah, it's like that. I mean, for frickin' a, the first episode involves a superhero committing statutory rape. For Christ's sake. So
Yeah, it's definitely got an R-rated slant.
yeah, and there's a lot of gore. They don't hold back on the crime whatsoever. As you know, like you see, like there's a guy who gets beheaded. Small spoiler in this game. Him as a very interesting use of that guy's powers. Um, what did you think of the story?
The story itself is, it's fine. I think it's, the idea of a police procedural, revolving around superheroes is pretty cool. But the the acting itself is kind of cheesy, I think, in most parts. Uh, like I forget what's the main character's name, Walker.
Yeah, I believe so.
Like he's very good at being in the super dramatic parts of the script. He's pretty excellent at that. But like in the more normal tone parts of his acting, it's a little cheesy. But he's very good at being very angry. But everything else in between is kind of flat, I think.
Yeah, I actually liked him for the most part. I felt like he was actually acting his ass off. Christian Walker is his full name.
Yeah,
Oh, by the way, has Eddie Izzard as one of the villains of the story Wolf, which
yeah,
I was very happy to see him.
yeah. That was interesting. I was like, oh hey, okay.
But yeah, the story follows Christian Walker, who used to have powers, who used to be a powers for what I can tell, he could fly, and that was pretty much it. But he was still happy to have that. And then one day, in a battle with his former mentor Wolf, uh, Wolf's power, I guess, is that he eats people. I don't know. Once again, it's only been one episode.
That's 3 episodes.
Oh, wait, the season is 3 episodes long.
No, there are 3 episodes for you to watch.
Oh, okay. Well, I've only seen the first one so far. Or did you see all three?
Hmm.
Oh boy. All right. So, but yeah. Anyway, so essentially, but he Wolf ate enough of him to steal his powers. So now he's a normal human, and he's part of this police force that arrests and takes care of supers and what have you. And in this world, if I will say, it's refreshing to see a world where there are superheroes already. Like there's not like we're not in the middle of this lull like that was with the Marvel universe where they're still trying to keep everything a secret and like, oh, we don't, the general public can handle it. No, they're supers all over the place. In fact, you see them fly by like every other scene in this show.
Yeah, and like I think there's this whole registration thing where you have to register your powers, in a couple of episodes. Uh, but yeah, by and large, it's like a significant portion of the population has powers, and there are a bunch of kids that want to be powers as well, and they're actually called that. They're just wannabes. They kind of hang around. either wanting to get power somehow or just kind of want to be around that scene.
Yeah, and another interesting thing, powers can be sexually transmitted,
Apparently,
which once again takes the story to a dark place on more than one occasion, sadly. uh, so the story is serviceable. I want to find out what happens next to that
yeah.
extent. Um, I do think the person who plays Christian's partner, Dina Pilgrim, I believe her name is.
Uh huh.
She's kind of a toolbox. Aside from that, everyone's pretty like not personally, but like everyone else in here is like that's the premise of the show that they're all jerks. Um, but the story is interesting. I'm very curious to see what happens with Wolf and what was the name of the other villain in this game or
um,
games?
Eddie Royal or Eddie Royale or
Royal,
something.
Johnny Royale. That was it.
Johnny Royal. Eddie Royal is a wide receiver for the San Diego Chargers.
That would be a
Mixed
great
up.
plot twist right there.
Holy shit, Eddie Royal, what are you doing?
Oh god. So I thought the story was cool. Something I did want to talk about: the costumes on the heroes in this show.
Uh huh.
Hate them.
Yeah, they're bad.
Like,
especially especially whenever you see pictures of like Christian Walker in his diamond days.
oh yeah.
What a terrible costume that was. It's like, wow, okay.
Like, if I could put it in like a diagram here, like the very best, of course, would be the Marvel Universe movies, where it just looks amazing, like they just stepped up the page.
Yeah,
And
like I don't know if the costumes were are basically lifted from the comics pages or and if they looked better in the comic, but on film, not great.
yeah, it's like then the step under that is the CW TV shows, where it looked like the actors just made the costume as best as they could. And then you have Powers, where it looks like they went to the fucking Halloween store and
They
just
went to
went
Party
to,
City.
yeah, to Party City and just grabbed a superhero pack. I mean, oh wait, I can put it like you remember the live action Tick TV shows?
Yeah.
It looks like the costumes from there. It's like
No.
it's not good. I mean, um, let's see. The story's all right. There you go. Now you said you didn't like it that much, Joe.
No, not really, because it's like I try. Like there are parts, like there are stretches where I start to get into it, but then I'm immediately pulled out because on top of being what seems to be a low budget kind of show, it seems like half the budget was blown on making sure that you get the hottest Sony products on camera. Uh,
The Xperia phones all over the place.
everyone's got an Xperia phone. The kid's playing a modded version of Infamous Second Son where he's playing his diamond on his Bravia. This isn't the second episode, Malcolm.
All right.
He's playing Infamous Second Son where instead of controlling Delson, he's controlling Diamond. And he's playing on his Bravia TV, and of course he's wearing his PlayStation Gold headset or whatever. And it's like, oh come on! It's like everyone's got a Sony tablet. It's like, what the fuck, man? Like everyone's using bio laptops, and it's like even in the first episode where they're talking about the Powers Division, it's like the Powers Division is terribly funded and we haven't gotten a budget increase in 10 years or whatever they say, but yet every cop in the in the precinct has a brand new Sony computer. It's like, what? It's like, what are you talking about?
First of all, yeah, and just to bring that up, why
It's
the hell?
super distracting.
And why that? And that makes absolutely no sense. You have a division that's in charge of taking on superhuman beings, and they don't fund it. What?
Yeah, I don't know if that's how it was in the comic or or if they just decided to do that for the show, but it's like like that they probably that's dumb. It's like, yeah, like we deal with the biggest threats, but of course, but we have to like have our equipment is basically seized property from criminals or whatever. Uh, so it's all seized property and the hottest Sony products is what they keep in the precinct basically.
Yeah, it makes that made absolutely no sense.
Like that's the one thing I hate about watching Sony produced things, whether it's Spider-Man or this. It's like their insistence on making sure that Sony is the only brand that exists uh, is very distracting. Like like in the later episode, the kid does have a MacBook, but very damn sure to put a sticker over the apple on the back of the lid or whatever.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, that's hardly something that's revolutionary for this. I mean, all movies do that, but they usually get like such a catalog of sponsors that you're able to immerse yourself because yeah, you see Verizon, but you're also seeing Apple and you're seeing IHOP and like all these other
Yeah,
stuff.
like Verizon can power it as a network that carries a number of different branded devices.
Yeah,
It's not just Sony fucking Bravias or fucking Xperias or whatever the fuck.
yeah. I mean, you'll probably find that it's just so much product placement. It
Yeah, like
doesn't.
I understand the impulse. Like obviously, like I know Sony, like I know no one's buying your phones or your computers. I understand the impulse of getting it in front of there, but it's so unrealistic. It's like nobody buys your computers or your phones. Nope. It's like why does everybody have one in this? It's
Yeah,
so
but aside from that, I want to see what happens in the next episode. So, as much as I nitpick here and there about stuff like that, it's got me for that. I want to find out what's next, and at the same time, it's not like I'm paying for each episode either. It's like free if you're a PlayStation Plus user, right?
yeah, yeah.
Right. So,
And
go
and
ahead.
even if you're not a PlayStation Plus user, the first episode is free for you to watch on, your PlayStation console of choice on like PlayStation.com/powers and I think YouTube. They have it on YouTube as well.
Yep, that's where I saw the first episode. If you go to PlayStation's YouTube channel, the first episode is right there.
Yeah, so the first episode everybody can watch, no matter what. So go ahead and take a look at that and decide for yourself. I think it's very like I think 3 episodes is like the perfect amount to see whether a show is something you actually want to watch or not. Uh, like even with something like Parks and Recreation, which I love to death. Like I always tell people, it's like, yeah, watch the first few episodes and see whether or not you want to skip to the second season because the first few episodes of that are pretty rough. So I just tell people just skip to the second season if you don't enjoy it. But this being a procedural thing, that's probably obviously a little bit different. But 3 episodes I think is a good litmus test.
So that being said, are you going to continue to watch it, or are you done?
Um, I don't know. I mean, if I've got nothing better to watch, there's so much good TV to watch though, coming out every single week. So it's hard to justify saying I'll watch this thing that I only kind of sort of like. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of right there with you. At the same, on one hand, I didn't hate it. I'm not saying that is the worst thing I've ever watched and to stay away from it. I liked it just fine. But at the same time, it's not like freaking watching a Marvel movie where I was like, "Oh my god, I need to see the next movie." Like yeah, I'm right there with you. Like when I have some free time, I'll probably pop in an episode and then watch the next one when I feel like it. I mean,
yeah, like Agents of Shield. It's just barely come back now after a brief hiatus. But that show started off pretty rough as well. Up
oh god,
until
yeah, yeah.
like I remember the first few episodes thinking like I kind of hate everybody on the show 'cause that isn't Coulson. But by the time they got around to where it ties in with Captain America: Winter Soldier, it's like wow, this is all right. I can see the vision that they have for this show. So that's some. Hopefully, that's something that can happen with Power. Even though it's unlike Agents of Shield, though it's not adapting directly from something, so they have to play by different rules, I
Oh, by the way, poor Sky.
guess. Yeah,
My God, fuck that group right there, man.
she'll be fine.
She'll be fine. They'll probably be like a set. Like if they don't show anybody from the Inhumans movie, I'll be shocked. Like the way it's going, she's eventually just gonna move to wherever their hidden city is, and then the Shield crew is gonna infiltrate that city to try and convince her to come back or something. That'll be the season finale. Mark my words. But
Well, unless she dies before that movie comes out, I'm pretty sure she'll be in it.
you didn't know she's Black Bolt.
she's she's black.
Because you notice when she screamed no, that's when all the night lights exploded. So yeah, her powers are exactly like Black Bolt's. Yes. So many infuriating people. People are infuriated right now. No, it's much more grander. Black Bolt's power. I know, I know. That's the thing. I still don't know what Sky's goddamn powers are. My gosh,
I'm making everything real shaky, I guess.
shaky. Don't.
Acc- Accidental earthquakes are her power.
Don't get me mildly upset. You would not like me when I'm mildly upset. Oh god. Yeah. Yeah. So I love. I mean that, but going back to what you're saying, that's a fantastic example. Like Agent of Shield at the very beginning was very much a cookie cutter, I would say.
Yeah.
But I would say not just that Winter Soldier, but when Ward turned. Small
Uh-huh.
spoiler. Like at that point, it was like, oh, this is a completely different show now. My gosh.
Yeah, pretty much. But I mean, I don't know. Like it's knowing too that powers is a thing that already exists as a comic book. It feels like maybe you should read that instead, even though I haven't read it myself. It feels. I mean, it's also you can tell that it's very much a fairly low budget show, especially compared to something like Agents of Shield. Uh,
Mm.
it's clearly very low budget. Like if it really does feel like most of the budget went towards making sure all that product placement was where it was.
So yeah, it sounds like. Would you say it's an average, or would you give it like a 5 out of 10, or
I don't know. I'd say it. I don't know. It feels like a very. I'd say it seems very skippable.
oh, that sucks. I would say give it at least a look, see if you like it.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got PlayStation Plus, I like I said, the perfect window to gauge a show is I think is 3 episodes, and that's available to you now if you're a PlayStation Plus member, uh, and then you can make up your mind from there. I mean, like I said, there's so much great TV out. Like we're in a renaissance of excellent TV, where I don't
Daredevil
nec-
comes out next month, man.
where I mean, there's not necessarily I don't necessarily feel like spending time on stuff that I think is mediocre at best. Like I would rather watch, Game of Thrones and Better Call Saul and like the myriad of other excellent shows that are out on TV right now.
All right. Well, folks, that's what we thought about powers, but what did you think? We'll make that a community question. You can either let us know by emailing us, firmwareupdatepodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what you thought. Or if you're watching on the YouTube channel, you can leave a comment below. Or you can tweet us at the firmat, at the firm up, at PS Mount for me, or at Wands23 for Joe. And folks, you can also use all these materials to go and write us into a section that we like to call the mailbag.